Expectation for your meeting with the Canadian Prime Minister tomorrow?
I don't know. He's coming to see me. I'm not sure what he wants to see me about, but I guess he wants to make a deal. Everybody does. They all want to make a deal because we have something that they all want. We have something that they all want. China wants to make a deal very badly. You see what's happening to China. China's being decimated, and I don't want that to happen. But they have to make a fair deal. We were losing hundreds of billions of dollars a year.
That's President Trump saying everybody's coming to make a deal with the U.S. This is a storyline, right? You've heard that. And just within the past few hours, India offered a 0-for-0 no tariff deal on auto parts, steel, and pharmaceuticals. Joining us now, House Ways and Means, Texas Congresswoman Beth Van Duyne. Congresswoman, it's great to see you. It's always a pleasure to have you on. What do you make of this news? Is this a template, do you think, and blueprint for more deals coming? Because it's happening as China just exempted about a quarter of U.S. imports from their retaliatory tariffs to soften the blow of this trade fight on their economy.
No, absolutely. And Liz, it's always great to see you. I appreciate you having me on. Absolutely. I think what President Trump is trying to do is use the tariffs very strategically. It may seem like I've heard my Democrat colleagues talk about it as chaos, but it's a very organized attempt. It's very strategic. He's looking at being able to use tariffs to bring back and privatize jobs. He is concentrating and prioritizing American businesses, American workers, the American economy. He wants to have things made in America. We're putting together this one big, beautiful bill that is looking at combining the tariff effort along with tax policy, looking at American energy being independent and being able to export again. All of this is part and parcel of this administration's focus on bringing back jobs to America and increasing the American economy.
Yeah, and getting the manufacturing renaissance here in the United States and a blue-collar boom. The president spoke with NBC. Watch what he said about the UAW, likes what he's doing to revive U.S. manufacturing. Watch that and watch UAW Chief Shawn Fain. Watch.
I think the good parts are the Trump economy and the bad parts are the Biden economy because he's done a terrible job. He did a terrible job. What about the car business? They're going to make a fortune because of the tariffs. Do you know that the union, the head of the union, who was no fan of mine, Fain, Shawn Fain, I guess his name is, right? He didn't endorse me. The Teamsters did. A lot of people did. A lot of unions did. But he didn't. He couldn't stand me. Now he's saying, wow. What Trump's done for the automobile, I can't believe it. We've been waiting 40 years for somebody to do what Trump is doing.
We are ecstatic to see an administration finally address the unfair trade laws in this country. These laws have destroyed the American working class. They've destroyed communities in this country and virtually every state for decades.
Okay, so you hear, Congressman, let's back up. We hear Democrats in the media slamming what Trump is doing. They're saying a downturn is coming, possible recession. Is it, in your assessment, do they cover enough what the president is trying to do to bring back U.S. manufacturing jobs? Can you explain what's going on here? Because you could see and sense that the president was frustrated with that NBC interview. Can you explain what he wants to do with the manufacturing renaissance and why?
They have their own narrative and they're going to continue with it regardless of what reality is showing them. The fact is that if you look at the success that this president has had in the last 100 days, look at the last jobs report and how many more, 100% of the new jobs that were created in the private sector versus the Biden administration where they were almost all created in the government sector. Look at the $5 trillion of private company investments that are being made in America now, plus the $3 trillion that countries like the UAE are talking about investing in America. Look at the transactions of manufacturing jobs, manufacturing plants now being onboarded, onshored in our country. These are successes that have happened as a direct result of tax policy and of economic policy under this administration. And of course, what the mainstream media is going to do is continue to tell you, oh, it's going to get bad, it's going to get bad. And what we've seen week after week is it getting better. And you talk about prices that are dropping. They were, at the first 10 days of this presidency, they were complaining that egg prices weren't down. Well, egg prices are now down by 50%. You look at the cost of gas. Gas is now down to pre-pandemic levels. Costs are decreasing. The economy is increasing. Jobs are increasing. This is a good thing. And I would really hope that Democrats and the mainstream media would jump around that. But they're not. I expect them to.
We appreciate you so much. Thank you, Congresswoman Beth Van Duyne. Listen, if you build it here in the United States, the president's going to cut those tax rates.